Hello, and welcome back to Legacy of Leaders, where we interview the brightest and most interesting leaders in the community, and today is no different. I'm your host, Whitney Mincey, joined by very special guest, Mr. Scott A. Grant from Standfast Asset Management. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm glad to have you here today.
Thanks.
I know you've been around our studios and on some of our shows before, but you always have something new and interesting to talk about. So before we get into that, tell me about Standfast Asset Management.
Oh, yeah. We are a fiduciary asset manager. We manage stock and bond portfolios for people who trust us. We have an obligation to put their interest before our own. There's no commissions. So we manage about $100 million, and it's been trying recently. It's been traumatic.
Right.
A lot of turmoil, tariffs and turmoil, I say. But in the long run, stock market investments are good investments, and people typically make money over time if they stay in those investments.
That is very true. Is there a particular type of client that you're typically helping or currently looking for?
Well, we do a lot of retirement plans, people's retirement plans. They leave a company, they roll over their assets. Anybody who's got money that they can at least intend to invest for a longer period of time. We're not big on people putting money in, taking money out. It just isn't really what we're looking for. It doesn't work for us, doesn't work typically for them. But pretty much anybody. I'll deal with pretty much anybody.
Wonderful. Well, tell me what's new. I know there's an exciting event that's coming up soon.
Well, I've gotten known for doing this presentation and writing about a World War II event. In 1942, a German submarine, the U-123, sank an oil tanker off the coast of Jacksonville Beach, about 5 miles off the coast, at around 9:24 on a Friday night. So there were people on the boardwalk, there were people on the roller coaster, there were people on the Ferris wheel, and suddenly there's a gigantic explosion, and everybody rushes out to the boardwalk to watch. What they're not really sure what it is at first,
right.
But the submarine comes to the landward side of the oil tanker, the SS Gulf America, and people see the silhouette of a German submarine shelling an American merchant ship right off the coast. And at the time, the Navy censored a lot of information, so very little was published at the time in the newspapers. It's not like today where everybody would have had a camera phone and you would have had it all over social media. In fact, there's no pictures. I was certain that I would find a picture, and I never did. But I've done that presentation at least 350 times.
Wow.
The first 18 months was we did 300, and we've continued to do them periodically. And this most recent one, the one coming up is at Jacksonville Offshore Sports Fishing Club. And that's kind of neat because those guys help manage some of the reefs, and the Gulf America sank in about 75 feet of water. It became a reef, and it's a pretty popular fishing destination to this day.
Wow. So how did you become known as the person to give this presentation?
Well, I had heard about the event, I'd read about the event, and there were differing stories, and so I began to do research into what actually happened. And on the 75th anniversary, which was in 2017, I did a presentation at the Beaches Museum in Jacksonville Beach, Beaches History Museum. And the Times-Union ran an article that day. So we were doing the 75th anniversary speech, and in the article they said, I was going to do the speech that night, and about 300 people showed up. And it sort of just took off from there. Service clubs, museums, libraries. I've done it at almost every library in the Jacksonville system and some in the St. John system. Colleges, schools. It became almost a full-time job for 18 months.
Wow. Well, has giving this presentation so many times and really diving into the research on what happened and the impacts given you any insight into maybe some leadership tips that you might be able to share?
I would say this. It's more of a marketing tip, and
Okay.
maybe a bit of a leadership tip as well. I see a lot of people come up and say, "Hi, I'm Scott Grant, I'd like to talk to you about your investments, or talk to you about your insurance, or talk to you about your whatever."
Hmm.
Um, and people are a little resistant to
Yeah,
direct sales pitches.
very true.
What I was able to do was to build a reputation, and a lot of people have heard about the event. Maybe more have heard about the event than have heard about me, but
Hmm.
a lot of people have heard about the event because we gave the presentation and wrote so much about it. And so um, people know me.
Yeah.
And Vicky Cavey, who was president of the Rotary Club uh, in Ponte Vedra, said to me one day, she said, I know you as a historian, not as a investment advisor. And my retort was, but you know me.
Right, that's a place to start.
So yeah, that's people knew who I was, and so do something that you like, do something that you're passionate about. Don't feel like you need to constantly be pushing an agenda.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic, and I completely agree. Unfortunately, we're out of time, Scott. So if
These are always short.
I know they're so short, but I'm sure if they want to hear more from you, they can listen
Sure.
to your presentation there, and we'll have to have you back again, of course. If you want to learn more about Scott and what he's doing, make sure you head over to dailynewsnetwork.com. All of his information will be listed there, and we will see you next time on Legacy of Leaders.